Now let's run through a sample as I make my schedule for the first 2 semesters, plan them out, using the anthropology example in the last discussion. And then from there, we will pick classes and then look at course equivalences and things from Sacramento State that can definitely be helpful when planning this degree forward. So starting off, it is generally recommended, both counselors and success coaches, things like this, have told me as a student, that many students often change their minds when they first come to any junior college, which is often why a lot of students come to a junior college or 2-year school to begin with, is because they aren't sure exactly what they want to do, and they don't want to spend a ton of money figuring that out, which is, in my opinion, a very smart financial decision. So the first thing they would recommend is you should take mostly general ed probably your first year. You should take mostly general ed your first year. For the simple reason that if I change my mind, I will at least have more general ed done, and the switch to something different will not be as many units. So knowing that piece of advice, I think I would want to take 4 out of my 5 classes to be general ed my first semester. So I would probably, if it were me, I would go through the list this way, but also depending on what classes are offered, for example, like the sciences and the maths, those classes are known to be a little more difficult. So how about I just ease in and make it a little easy for this first semester? I've also seen many students who get behind in general ed personally because they don't want to take public speaking for whichever reason. But given that classes are online currently, I think public speaking would probably be a good decision right now. So let's add Com Studies 1A to the list that we've made, which would be Com Studies 1A. And then from here, I had all these additional, I have all of these additional things in here as that I will fill through once I do research on the specific class, which professors are offered. RMF stands for Rate My Professor, which is a very good resource to make sure that you have a good professor. How many units the class is. Apologies, Excel's being a little slow right now. There we go. How many units, and I know it's 3, which we'll add there, and let's try to, yep, there we go. And then what requirement does it fulfill? And it looks like it fulfills General Ed Section A1. So let's add that in. GE CSU Section A1. And then bold all that. And then this can come afterwards when we figure out what specific class I want. And generally speaking, using Rate My Professor, I would not want any teacher that is lower than a 3.5 unless I absolutely have to. Generally, if a teacher is a 4 or higher, they're usually really good. So we have Com Studies picked. Now let's look at another general ed class that we can take. English 1A or English 2A, depending on the support systems offered. Both fulfill the same requirement. I think, given that I had relatively high grades in high school, that English 1A will be something I'd be able to take without issue. So I will enroll straight into English 1A. 1A. And that's size 14. Bold that. And then this is also 3 units. And it fulfills GE CSU Section A2 as we run through this. Okay. Critical thinking section, English 1D, Com Studies 5, Philosophy 30. It would make sense that I could take English 1D or English 1B, but I see that they both have the prerequisite of English 1A. I know if I really wanted to, I can definitely take Com Studies 5 or Philosophy 30, which is certainly possible, but this certainly seems to me like a second semester category, so I think I would wait until second semester before I do this section. Same thing with the sciences and the maths. I may wait for those personally. Okay, let's go through this section. Area C, arts, literature, philosophy, and other languages other than English. So it says I have to complete a minimum of 9 units with at least one course from C1 and one course from C2. So here's a course list for C1, here's a course list for C2. I think it would be possible for me to complete this section in this semester, or at least get one area. Actually, it would be possible, but I may want to add a class to make sure that anthropology is right for me. So how about I take one class from C1 and one class from C2? From what I've heard and what students have recommended to me, Art 1A is a really good class, Art 1B is a really good class, Drama 10 is a really good class, Music 1, Music 4, lots of really good classes here. I think, just based off of interests, I would probably take Drama 10. So Drama 10, Intro to Theater, fulfills section C1 and its 3 units. Let's see if there's any prerequisites. No, there are not. So let's do Drama 10 here. Drama 10. Bump this to size 14. Bold it and do all this fun stuff. Units is 3. Move it over. Actually, we can probably center all of these. There we go. And it fulfills the GE CSU path for section C1. Now on to the 4th class. So let's find something from C2. Chinese 2, dance, English, additional English, fashion, French. So it looks like it's mostly English classes and foreign languages. There are some history classes, there are some philosophy classes here. If I wanted to make sure that I get everything done at the right time, I would probably want to take something that's 3 units to make sure that I'm at a pace of 15 and not taking more than I need to. How about I take Philosophy 6, Intro to Philosophy? Seems like a class that interests me. Then we move that up to size 14, bold it, do all this fun stuff again. C2, and this one was also 3 units. Okay. Now for our final class, let's pick something from our program specifically. So going through the anthropology degree, it looks like it wants me to complete 9 units of core, and then these 4 classes, and a class from here, and a class from here. Students are advised to double count courses and majors to satisfy general ed when possible. Okay, so this means, as I mentioned in the last discussion, to ask the counselor on this information if you can double count. Given that it says we're advised to double count, this would definitely be something that I would take in the science section when looking into my second semester. Here and here would be what I would recommend to take in the science section if I was looking for this specific degree. But I think I'd rather not take Anthro 2 and 2L during my first semester. Cultural Anthropology advises me to take English 1A with a grade of a C or better. But since I'm currently enrolled in English 1A, let's see what the other one has. Same thing as before. And I'm sure most of these other classes will have similar advisories. But let's pick one that doesn't, just to make sure that I'm not taking something that I may not be able to handle. Prereqs. It looks like Anthro 4 in this section does not require English 1A as a recommended course before I take it. So we can start for here in this instance. So how about we go to Anthro 4, which is Introduction to Linguistics, which is also 3 units. And this fulfills the Anthro AAT Section B. Just label it like that. Okay. And this would be my schedule for the first semester.